Welcome to the Mayor's Update for November 2015. I'm Megan Pembroke, Communications Director for the City of Everett. And each month we sit down with Mayor Ray Stephanson to talk about issues and projects that are important to you. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here. I was, just when you think that, maybe no one's watching, I was with Vicki yesterday. We were out at Winco shopping for, I'll give a plug to somebody, but we were shopping for the Christmas basket for our church, so different families do. And somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, I see you on TV all the time." So they're still out there.
They're out there, yeah.
Just when you don't think they are.
Well, it's good to be back.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, let's start by talking about the budget. This is the time every year that we start looking ahead to next year's budget, and I know your staff's been working over the summer with the council as we built the 2016 budget, right. And in October you gave your annual budget address. Can you tell us a little bit about what you talked about then and what we're looking forward to in 2016?
Sure. Well, I think after, 6, 7 long years of recession, we finally, this coming year in 2016, have revenues that have reached where we were prior to the recession. So in excess of $125 million in revenue. So, more and more feeling like this recovery is real, and that for us as a city that we're getting back on par. That doesn't mean there aren't challenges, and what's happened with revenue over the last several years through the recession and as time marches on is that we have a lot of competition that we didn't have before. We look north or we look east, we see new car dealers, we see new retail, and a lot of the activity and a lot of the customers that are going to those locations used to shop in Everett. So we've just seen sort of a natural regression of that important component of our budget, which is sales tax. We are seeing some growth, and we are seeing the car dealer sector really improve. We're seeing retail sales of electronics and that recover. So I think there's more confidence among buyers, and that's always good for the economy. I do read, though, nationally people are saving at a higher rate than they ever have. So I think probably that memory of the recession hasn't left them. So I would say that we are in a much better place, more stable. I think the efforts that we took last year around the strategic budget process and looking at sort of fixing and working to fix the long-term revenue picture. We did that with fees, we did that with utility tax, and that was more to stabilize the rate of revenue growth. We were, as I mentioned before, revenues growing at 2.5% and your expenses growing at 4+%, and that's just natural inflation. We worked very hard to fix that, and that has made and is making a very positive difference. And again, not to say that we don't have to look at more efficiencies operationally and look at healthcare cost and all of those issues, which we continue to do, because what we've done is buy ourselves some time, and we've sort of moved the challenge out a little further, but it's still nonetheless a challenge. So that sort of gives some context, I think, to what 2016 looks like. Now, there are some things that we have done that really sort of address some emerging needs in our community. And the one thing that I asked the council to consider was a $1 million request for revenue and expense that would deal with streets issues. It's a dedicated small number of police officers, some 5 officers, 2 additional embedded social workers, and a prosecutor. What we want to do is really dedicate some resources to getting out and identifying people in need and getting them the help and resources they need. And we've had some really positive examples that is working. The other thing that we will do in 16 and 17 is I've made a commitment to add 10 units of low barrier housing in 16, another 10 in 2017. Working with the federal government, with the state, with the county to find more resources, because a big part of solving the streets issues is, which many of the problems we see are caused by poverty, is to provide some stable, low barrier housing for people. And if we can do that, it's sort of a housing first model, then we know where they are, we know they're safe, we can get them the services they need, whether it's mental health services or treatment services. And so we really sort of turn the equation upside down in terms of how we are getting the help to people. So that's a big focus for me, and it's a big focus of this budget going forward. You know, it manifests itself in ways that our citizens are uncomfortable with, you know, whether it's aggressive panhandling, which we now have an ordinance, and that ordinance, as much as anything, will get to the real aggressive people, and if they don't stop that behavior, we have the strength of the law and the strength of law enforcement to deal with it. But the main thing I want to say here is it gives us an opportunity to make that contact and to try to persuade people to pursue another avenue, to pursue the help that they need. And our newest elected council member, Cassie Franklin, said to me, and she's in this business, that oftentimes it is that moment in time for a young person or someone older facing, I'm going to go to jail if I don't seek treatment or don't seek help, that's really sort of that moment in time where they choose a better path forward. And so that's what I'm hoping. We definitely have to solve this issue. We'd have to make this a much more effective community in terms of dealing with these issues. It affects our quality of life. It definitely affects the quality of life of the people involved. So that'll be a big part of our focus next year as we move forward. We've continued to support higher education. I do think, though, this year when we go to Olympia and we talk about the things that we've talked about in the past, which is we need transportation infrastructure dollars, and we need higher education dollars, and we need, you know, resources and grants to run government. That'll always be a big piece of it. But the added layer this year will be around legislation and help for social issues, and that'll be a new opportunity for us that we're going to pursue in a much bigger and better way, I think.
Great, thank you for that update. And I know for people who are interested in more information, we have a lot on the website at everettwa.gov/safe streets. And this month we've also got the Housing First Forum. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, that we invite community members to participate in.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just to sort of let people know, too, where the budget process is, I think by that first council meeting in December, we will have had the third reading of the budget. We've gone through 3 public hearings. There's 3 additional opportunities through the bringing the budget back to council for consideration for people to participate. And so hopefully by the first week of December, we'll have our 2016 budget approved. So this month, we will have an expert, Lloyd Pendleton, who is from Salt Lake City, who was really the architect of bringing this low barrier housing to his city and got the state's support, and has been dealing with this issue for nearly a decade, coming to our community to share their experience and give us ideas on how we can work this issue for our community. So I'm hoping that we'll have significant participation with our public, listening to what their experience has been, and we can translate that into our own experience, and then we'll continue this as well. I mean, we're laser-like focused on this now, and so there'll be more about this after the first of the year. I'm looking forward to, with the county exec-elect, to deal with this issue. I've already talked with him about the streets issues, and he's very connected and wants to be a partner with us. So I think that's going to be terrific.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get an update on higher education in Everett and keep looking ahead to 2016.
At Everett Community College, you can stay close and go far.
For me, going far is faculty who really care about me.
Going far is becoming the first in my family to go to college.
Going far is taking the first step toward my dream job.
Going far is going to college without going broke.
At Everett Community College, you can stay close and go far.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Update. Well, Mayor, we talked a little bit about 2016 and our budget process, and I know we've got a lot of projects currently underway on the Riverfront, the waterfront, in downtown Everett. What are some of the things that you're excited about? What are some of the opportunities that people can be looking forward to next year?
You know, I've never seen a time since I've been mayor where there's so many opportunities and so much potential for our community, and we've had a lot of residential development downtown through the recession, and that was really, you know, an anomaly in a lot of respects because the economy was really struggling. But we can continue to see residential development. Next year, you'll see construction on the Simpson site, part of the Riverfront development for new houses. We're going to see more and more being talked about in terms of the mixed-use development on the Riverfront next year and beyond. I can tell you there are some, there's one anchor tenant that's a world-class company that's in discussions with the owner of the property to locate there, and it'd be a great addition to our community. So the Riverfront, I think, is really, the stage is set. The economy stays strong, the dollar stays strong. We're going to see that development come out of the ground. On the port side, the port continues to finish their cleanup and do their development. They're talking with local developers. We're going to see that whole Harborfront, if you will, the harbor development come out of the ground with residential development, restaurants, mixed use, small business opportunities. And I think, as I mentioned, the local development community is going to be a lot more involved in this plan for the port than was previously considered. So that's going to be terrific as well. By the end of the year, the long-awaited Broadway Bridge will be complete, some 3 months ahead of schedule. So that'll be open, I know, for the businesses and for the inconvenience. I'm glad to get this project done, and I know it's going to be a huge benefit and investment to our community that people will appreciate. And then we've already started discussions on the Grand Avenue Pedestrian Bridge. This bridge is planned to be developed at the north end of Grand Avenue Park. So that's about the 1600 block, excuse me, of Grand Avenue. And that bridge will go west over the railroad tracks, will land in a parking lot north of Lombardi's, sort of give that some context. And so we plan on starting that next year. Much of it's depending on permits and so on. We have to work with the railroad, but hope to have that done sometime in 2017. So that's going to be a great addition as well. We continue to look at the Kimberly Clark property and know that if we had a maritime use there, how important that would be to the Navy and to the maritime community. So, you know, behind the scenes, just know that that work continues, and people are still very interested in seeing that property develop. I think as well we're going to see another significant announcement of a company, a medical provider coming to our community that I think will be very welcome to a welcome addition to our medical community, and I expect that should occur hopefully before the end of the year. So just a whole lot of stuff going on. We're going to start a freight mobility project, which is widening intersections to get freight from the port to Pacific and Rucker, and then Rucker and 41st, and we'll widen those intersections. And then we're going to begin to see the projects, the transportation projects that the legislature approved this last session start to come out of the ground, and we're going to see a lot of construction activity on our state highways. And there'll be an inconvenience with that, but we absolutely need to do that. And then the other thing that's going to be critically important, and something that we're going to have to be focused on really for the next 12 months and beyond, is Sound Transit 3. That is the vote that we were asked citizens to take in 2016 in November. And if supported, that'll bring light rail to Everett in about 2035. So it's something that we, at this point, are very supportive of, but we need to make sure that it gets to the locations in Everett that are critical to our transportation needs. And obviously, in and around Boeing, that job center, which will grow to 100,000 workers by that time, obviously to our multimodal center at Everett Station, and then out to the college district and the hospital district. And that's what the light rail connection will need to be for us. So there's a lot of competition for how those dollars will be spent and where they'll be spent. So we just need to make sure that Everett and Snohomish County are taken care of.
Well, thank you, Mayor. There's a lot to look forward to.
All right.
And that was a nice segue. You mentioned the college district, and I just wanted to close by talking a little bit about WSU. I know at the end of September you had the chance to help break ground on the new WSU University Center, and that is a milestone that was a long time coming. Can you tell us a little bit about that building and more importantly, what it means for Everett?
Well, I think it's for as hard as we've worked to bring higher education to Everett, you know, we had the commitment from the late Dr. Floyd to come to Everett. He and I worked hard to get the legislature to agree to take University Center and put that under Washington State University and have them lead that effort. And that was a difficult process to get everyone to agree that that was the best strategy forward. We've seen Washington State University grow program with mechanical and electrical engineering, really the STEM degrees, but they've also put in there hotel management, and now they want to do more with agricultural needs moving forward. That'll be a focus for them because we have a lot of farmland in Snohomish and Skagit and Island County. And so as a land-grant college, that's something that they'll want to do. So what I'm encouraged about when I mention all this is that it really demonstrates to me Washington State University's commitment to build program and to build this student population. And today, University Center is headquartered in Grey Wolf Hall. That is sort of in the heart of the campus at Everett Community College. But the new building that we lobbied so hard for and the legislature and governor agreed is a $55 million building. It's at the corner of Tower and Broadway, almost 100,000 square feet. That will become really the centerpiece for Washington State University in Everett. And I think in a very physical way, in a very demonstrative way, really shows Everett, or Washington State University's commitment to Everett. And so if anybody was ever doubting that they were committed, that will, I think, really be a very physical presence to show how much Everett is important to Washington State University. And so it's just, it's fun to see, and then just in a few years, we're going to see third and fourth year medical students educated here, being able to do intern work at Providence and Everett Clinic. That's exciting. So it was a lot of hard work to sort of get the seeds planted and get the thing going, but now it's just like it's sort of growing on its own. It's just so fun to see, and people are so committed to it.
Well, congratulations, Mayor. It's really neat to see it coming to life up there and the college district really flourishing.
Yeah, it's terrific.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us. We hope you'll come back again next month.